Hello and welcome to the Superpower Dead Eye team. I'm Peter.
And I'm Rick, and today we're reviewing Mission Impossible 2.
Ethan Hunt, a member of the Impossible Missions Force, is dispatched to Sydney to stop a terrorist organisation from laying their hands on a genetically engineered virus created in a lab.
Pete, what did you think of Mission Impossible 2?
I saw this when it first came out. I thought it was going to be good. I thought John Woo was going to bring something to it. I'd liked some of his other movies. I didn't like it when I saw it. And I watched it again. I can say I still don't really like it. I think it's the worst Mission Impossible movie. It's got the John Woo trademarks of the doves and the slow-mo, but that's about all he brought to it. And I remember thinking it was just outrageous and just over the top when I first saw it. But watching it now, it's kind of tame when you compare it to things like Fast and the Furious.
I remember when I first saw it at the cinema, and I love the first one. And so for me at the time, this follow-up was just so different from everything I loved about the first one. And so I think that's why I didn't like it the first time around. Second time around, there was just so much more to dislike. It's a terrible film, and you're right, it's the worst one in the whole franchise. The over-the-top stuff is, you're right, tame by today's standards. You even look at Mission Impossible 1, there were some over-the-top action scenes in there, but because that was such a grounded, a believable spy thriller, and it was grounded, so you can suspend that disbelief for a bit. You go, okay, it's a little bit crazy that they're on the top of a train, but it doesn't make it so outrageously unbelievable. And I think John Woo's style of that whole just let's slow-mo shots and repeat shots. I think there was a couple of, they did the different angles of the bike jumping over the other bike and all that sort of stuff, and it was just rubbish.
In the first one, I said that I thought that Tom Cruise was sort of playing that sort of cocky guy, and this one I felt like he was trying to be a bit more sort of macho and tough guy, and I don't really buy Tom Cruise as a macho guy. And
what do you mean, Peter?
Especially, it doesn't help when there's action scenes where he's doing like somersaults, and
Peter,
there's a bit where he jumps out of a building.
Here's the thing, Peter,
and he does a somersault before he opens his parachute up. It's just does not work.
Put your manners back in.
There were lots of somersaults in this. It didn't feel like a Mission Impossible movie. This is your standard action flick. It could have been Fast and the Furious. It could have been any one of those. And the acting was terrible. It really was. Like, I was rolling my eyes, and there was a couple of lines of dialogue where I was just throwing up in my mouth a little bit.
Well, this is not mission difficult, Mr. Hunt. It's Mission Impossible.
They were building a franchise on it. Where's Kittredge? Like, is Anthony Hopkins supposed to be the Kittredge guy? And then why are they meeting in a little villa in Spain or wherever they were?
And they set up this big, like, all-time romance with Thandie Newton, and they never showed up ever again.
That's it, yes. And so, like, Tom Cruise has just fallen in love with her in the first 2 seconds of this movie. It's just the moment they lock eyes, like, he's doing everything I can to save, apparently, the love of his life. Never hear about her again. In fact, he marries someone else.
They have that car chase, sort of flirty car chase thing, which they've just ripped off of GoldenEye, which came out a couple of years before that. They had this pretty much the same sort of scene there. I remember thinking that when I saw it.
If you are driving at that high speed down a hill and you're in a convertible, you're actually going to be able to have a conversation with the person across in crystal clear sound of like.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
What did you say?
There's a scene at the end where Richard Roxburgh's character comes in, and he's captured Ethan Hunt. The villain, which never happens in any movie, just shoots Ethan Hunt straight away. No, like, monologuing or anything, and that would be great. But it's not Ethan Hunt. There's a big switcheroo fake out scene. It's actually Ethan Hunt's got a mask of Richard Roxburgh on, which is, a kind of a cool scene until you think about it for 5 seconds. Like, what was Ethan Hunt doing? Did he, like, have a mask of every single henchman?
That's what I was wondering.
Bag? Like, has he got the machinery there to build one, or was he just I'll just print out Richard Roxburgh's face and hopefully
have the
alone
voice
with him at some point?
Yeah, and have the voice thing so
and
I
the
can
voice thing.
Yeah,
It just
and
didn't. That just did not make any. So you
change clothes,
either-
grow a couple of feet like Richard Roxburgh's taller than Tom Cruise. So he's grown, he's changed clothes, he's switched the mask on in about 3 to 4 minutes, I reckon. Rubbish script, rubbish dialogue, rubbish acting, over the top, rubbish. And adding to further comments that I've made about it before, the score was terrible too. Hans Zimmer just like getting his electric guitar out and play it just. So, Pete, would you recommend Mission Impossible 2?
No, I wouldn't. I think it's the worst of the franchise, and even though it wasn't quite as bad as I remembered it, it's still pretty bad. Thank you for watching the Superpower Dare Die team. If you enjoy our videos, please like them, please comment on them, and please subscribe to our channel. If you click on the bell, you'll never miss an episode.